Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for the Pool of Tribute Extreme. This is one of 2 extreme primals made available in Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood. This video will assume you have basic knowledge of the encounter on normal mode, and will instead focus on the changes to extreme mode difficulty. If you'd like a more in-depth look at the encounter, please visit the written guide in the description below. My name is Ms. Tech, and I'll be your primal guide. Tanks will again need to watch out for ASSAIL throughout the encounter. Remember that there is no cast bar or telegraph, but once you learn his rotation of attacks, you can easily predict it. You'll hear Susano yell out, "Rise, rise to the occasion," and a number of bubbles will spawn over the platform. During this time, 4 players will be marked with a churning debuff. This debuff lasts 10 seconds and will deal moderate damage and apply a lightning resist down debuff if the affected player is moving or attacking at the end of its duration. If you're affected, make sure you stop all actions around 2 or 3 seconds left on your debuff to be safe. Next up, a player will be affected by that wombo combo of events you learned in hard mode. To keep everything a little cleaner, the affected player attempts to stay behind the boss as much as possible. That way, everyone else who is neatly stacked behind the boss can easily dodge the platform-wide AoE. Remember to stack in to share the damage of Brightstorm after the initial knockback. Another ASSAIL leads us into another churning debuff. If you're affected, get ready to stop everything right after this next rise in Kaiko. Move out of the AoE circles as necessary. Next up, a Thunderhead cloud will spawn somewhere on the outer edge of the arena and will eventually target that same player that gets targeted by the Brightstorm combo of attacks. If you're trying to bait the safe zone of C's part AoE directly behind the boss as we do, the only danger here lies in the cloud spawning directly behind or in front of the boss. You don't want the column AoE from the cloud to completely cover the safe zone. If a cloud spawns in one of these areas, the raid can rotate around the boss to cause the safe zone to be perpendicular to where the cloud has spawned. At this point, Susano will disappear and his blade shadow will appear in the center. This phase is essentially the same as normal mode. However, each tank will need to take turns handling the blade's shadow as it applies a slashing resist down 2 debuff. The dark LEVIN orbs spawn in the same order and can be handled in the same manner. There is a lot more tank and raid damage for healers to take care of, so be ready. Once you destroy both blades, you'll need to heal through the ultimate and the next phase begins. You'll notice that the cleave in the center of the platform persists, and standing in this zone will cause you to start sinking. If you sink all the way in, you will die. Essentially, this acts as a divider between each side of the platform, and you'll use this to your advantage for upcoming mechanics. To give you lots of room to deal with mechanics, I prefer to tank Susano in the middle of one of the sides. If you're tanking him at one of the edges, just be careful not to box yourself in with the upcoming mechanics. Tanks will immediately have to look out for Storm Splitter, a heavy-hitting tank buster. This will put up another slashing resist down 2 debuff on the active tank, essentially forcing a tank swap. When Susano yells, "Hark you to the tumultuous heavens," a player will be marked for LEVIN bolt with this purple marker. After a short time, they'll explode, dealing high lightning damage across the platform. To avoid hitting everyone with this, the marked player will leap across the center and poop out their AoE on the platform where it will be contained in that area. This will happen to 4 players in a row, and each one must be ready as soon as the marker pops up to move across to the other side. Ukehi will do multiple hits of high raid-wide damage that will need to be healed through. Next up, another Thunderhead will spawn, and the combo AoE will target 1 player. This can be handled in the same way, just remember you have a little bit less room to deal with. Next up, another tank buster, and tanks will need to swap as necessary. Another round of players will have to move to the other side with their purple markers. You'll need to also watch out for a Thunderhead AoE on the second player marked up during this time. Another Ukehi attack to heal through before Susano yells "Earth and Stone" at our beck and call. The affected player will be trapped in stone and shuffled around. Everyone else will need to be ready to break them out while also dodging the upcoming AoE circles. Tanks will need to swap during the next tank buster. When Susano yells out, "Now cometh our part, make way," LEVIN bolt will target another 4 players, but this time they will be stunned in place. To avoid excess damage, everyone else will need to move to the other side of the arena to avoid the lightning attack. Again, this happens to 4 players in a row, so be ready to dance from side to side as necessary. At this point, you've seen every mechanic he'll throw at you, and it's a matter of handling them as they overlap with more and more difficulty. The next Brightstorm combo attack will occur during a turning debuff phase. Remember not to move at the end of the duration of your debuff and stack with the Brightstorm player. Dodge the next circle AoEs as necessary. Another tank buster, and 4 more stationary LEVIN bolts. Move to each side as necessary. Heal through the next Ukehi and then be ready for the hardest combo. Players will be affected for churning while 2 sets of AoE circles will drop. The timing is fairly critical, and you'll need to move out of the first set of AoEs, then stop for churning, and then move back in once the second set of AoEs spawn. Since you're dealing with a smaller platform, be careful not to box yourself in during this set of mechanics. More Levin bolts with some circle AoEs, another Bright Storm combo with a Thunderhead, even a Bright Storm combo with Levin bolts. Again, it's just a matter of practice and repetition. Susano has a hard enrage timer of about 14 minutes and 40 seconds, at which point he will continuously cast higher damage Yukehi until you die. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Up next, we'll head into the Emanation Extreme. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.